finally able to get DJ figured out and squared away. DJ, you just told me you didn't listen, so thanks for being a loyal listener to our own podcast, especially when you're not there. Regardless, I mean, you did hear my monologue because that was part of one of the things that we had to re-record 3 times. But I've had a lot of Ole Miss fans actually agree with me. So who knew that we were actually going to kind of have a broad reach here with our Alabama and Georgia podcast?
Yeah, no, it's you were spot on. It's Lane is, it's that old saying of if someone tells you who they are, believe them. He's shown it over and over again who he really is.
Yeah, it's funny because the E60 could not have come at a better and also worse time for him.
Really, really awkward timing.
Yes, because just 2 days ago, because it's like recirculating on social media for some reason, and ESPN's like pushing it again, and it's just like y'all are pushing the wrong thing right now because I don't know what intern is controlling the ESPN social media accounts, but like they're probably reading a lot of fun comments.
I'm sure I'm sure they're not going to lose any sleep over it either.
No, I mean I don't even know where to start. Like I've been, there's so many different angles here, and like most people are only going to get their news from ESPN. So I decided to spend like my really today and yesterday listening to Ole Miss specific podcasts and like radio,
Mm-hmm.
and like I've got McCready and Siskey on right now, and I was listening to McCready and I think his name's Chase Barnum, who covers Ole Miss yesterday. Everything that Lane said didn't happen did happen. Apparently, I can't remember which player it was. Actually, no, I do remember what player it was. I'm not going to say his name because there's conflicting reports out there, so I don't even want to be spreading fake news or like fake news in that aspect. But apparently, a player approached Lane at practice recently before all this happened and asked him, "Where's your purple?"
It's a good question.
And apparently, a lot of the like obviously there are specific players in there that like Lane, but apparently a lot of them were just fed up with it, and they were just their question was, "Is my position coach staying?"
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all they cared about.
Right.
And to that point, I do understand because like I even in my small college baseball experience, I preferred my pitching coach to my head coach. To this day, I'll text my pitching coach. I haven't talked to my head coach since the last time I was there, like 2 or 3 years ago. So like I understand that aspect, but then that place erupted when Pete Golding was announced as the head coach, and so it's like a lot of the guys seem to love Pete. It seems like they got even the players. It seems
Well,
like we're getting tired of Lane.
initially it was just that audio that leaked, and then I think Ole Miss was like, "Oh, well, it's leaked. Let's post the
Yeah,
video."
yeah,
So it was good to see. Probably for Ole Miss fans, it's good to see that team, or at least the majority of them, are still bought in. They're there for them. They're not there for Lane, which happens to be a lot of the cases where you get players that just commit to a coach and not a school. So having that standing there is really good for them.
Well, and even if because it is portal heavy, I don't know how portal heavy that roster is, but even if they are kind of interested in themselves and they're wanting to leave at the end of the year, it seems like that they're more interested in finishing this out
Mm-hmm.
than, but then obviously certainly Lane was, but they're just like, no, like we've got this far. Like our only loss is Georgia at Georgia. Like let's go see if we can win this thing, and then like we'll worry about next year. But like let's go see if we can win this thing.
Yeah, I think they understand how hard it is to get there, how rare of an opportunity this is, and I hope they don't throw it away, but you never know.
No, I think tomorrow or tonight's rankings are going to be an interesting one because what are they going to do to Ole Miss?
Well, somebody put a tweet out last night. One of the playoffs' main things is like any changes to the roster, coaching staff included. Um, that we in the first part that we were able to talk last night, and then I guess it got lost and didn't save. I said something along the lines of what are they going to do with Ole Miss? Are they going to keep them in the top 12? If Lane's gone, they don't have an opportunity to show what they are with this new guy. And who knows how much of that team's going to be there? They might kick him out, might put Vanderbilt down, but who knows? It's going to be. I'm glad it's not my decision. And it's not like the playoff committee has made just the greatest decisions of all time. Would be a interesting precedent setting case here.
Well, people are going to argue they've already set the precedent. Before we get into that, collegefootballplayoff.com for kind of referencing what you've said and what I've seen circulating too, but just so that other people are aware. You got the College Football Playoff Selection Committee protocol. It's in their principles. It's point 4 of their principles. It's like not even halfway down the website. It says other relevant factors such as unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected a team's performance during the season or likely will affect its postseason performance. I've seen a lot of people throw out, well, they kept Florida State out because Jordan Travis was out. Look, I'm wearing an Alabama hat. I benefited from Alabama getting in because Jordan Travis was injured. That doesn't mean I agree with it. I enjoyed it. I benefited from it. I think my opinion was Florida State had been there the whole time. There was no warning that Florida State was going to be dropped out. Florida State, I was shocked when Alabama got in.
Well, they messed that up. They should, when he got hurt and they saw that they were not performing like they were with him, they should have dropped him. They should have put him at like 5.
Yeah. I
And,
think
and said, you got to earn it. Style points matter in this sport. You have to prove that you can go toe to toe with these good teams, and then they were just squeaking by towards the end of the year.
right. And it can be. I agree with you because I remember on an old podcast that I used to have, I said the same thing. It's like if Florida State would have been dropped to 5 as soon as Jordan Travis would have been hurt, that would have been the committee's way of saying you can still get in. You
Mm-hmm.
need to win. You need to win big. They were never told that. It wasn't until after championship weekend that they were dropped out, which is less than 12 hours of their game ending. And so, like, I totally understand their frustration. But here, we've known for weeks now that this could be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell me that Ole Miss players didn't know about it.
Right. I mean, they definitely know.
And they haven't been playing distracted. People will be like, well, look at the Florida game. Guys, we tell you all the time, watch SEC football. Florida's got a lot of talent. That's a tough game for anybody.
Texas would know.
Yeah, Texas would definitely know, but they deserve to be in the playoff. That's sarcasm for those of you not
I had a
actually
buddy of
watching
mine.
this.
Yeah, and he's a big Texas fan. We got in an argument this past weekend. He's like, Texas should be in. I said, why? And he said, well, last year Notre Dame lost to NIU. I said, okay, who else did they lose to? Notre Dame's got a cakewalk into the playoff anyway. So that's another topic for another show.
I've already had that, and that was our most viewed TikTok video. So
maybe this will get a bump too. But yeah, it's interesting here.
Well, even if I don't know, my thing here is are you really going to sit here and say that a team that lost to Georgia? I mean, that game was back and forth. Ole Miss had to lead several times. I think even was it going into the fourth quarter that they had to lead? You're going to remember better than I will.
I'll be honest, I don't remember very much of that game. All I remember was the relief of that game being over, and I turned it off, and I went straight to bed after that game. I was exhausted.
So Georgia scored 17 unanswered in the fourth, and so if my math is correct, that would imply that Ole Miss did have the lead going into the fourth quarter. Ole Miss had the lead going into the fourth quarter on the road. They've proven right there they can hang with anybody, and I think they've proven over the past couple of weeks, whether our coach is going to be here or not, like we're still going to go ball out. I don't understand how you can leave this team out. I think this is where this sport is so stupidly great in the fact that this has to be a principle of theirs where unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected a team's performance. So Tom Brady tears his ACL, week 2 of the NFL season several
That was like
years
quarter
ago.
one of week
Right,
one.
right.
Yeah.
And
Steelers won a
so
Super Bowl that year.
should we? Matt Castle, was that his who it freaking was? Matt Castle carries them to like an 11-5 record. Should the Roger Goodell just come in and be like, well, if Tom Brady would have been in, they would have been like 14-2.
Yeah,
So
probably.
so we're gonna let them get in. Like that's just so stupid. It's like no, they either earn it or they don't. I think in this case, Ole Miss has earned it.
I think it's going to be. I agree, but the chaos that would ensue would be insane to watch.
Greg Sankey's gonna have a lot of fun on his hands if Ole Miss drops out and if the committee has the audacity to leave Alabama out if Alabama loses in the SEC championship this weekend. If that happens, would you just speculating here? But if I'm Greg Sankey, I'm just being like, you know what? Don't need y'all. I'll go do my own thing. Like I can have my own playoff with
Just have your
my
own
own
independent league.
yeah with my own league.
That'd be fun. In the SEC. Hey, what are we at right now? 16. Um, we'll go get James Franklin's Virginia Tech. We'll go get Florida State, Clemson, and a North Carolina school, and we'll call it a day. We'll just be a 20-team league, and we'll never play anyone else ever again.
And separate them in the divisions again, East and West. Top 4 teams from each division
You could do 4
make their
divisions
own
of
playoffs.
5. Do that.
Good, yeah,
That'd be fun.
absolutely.
Do a
And then do
northeast, south, southeast, east, and then yeah, that I'm all for it. We're
yeah
gonna give
four.
them
So
fake names.
so 4 divisions of 5. So you take each division winner and then one wild card. Or you could give whoever finished with the overall best record has a bye in the playoff in that SEC playoff. Tell me that people wouldn't watch it.
I'd watch it.
Guarantee you people would watch it.
ESPN would pay a lot of money for it.
Yes, they would. CBS. I wonder if CBS would really regret it after that. All right, that's enough. That's enough speculating of that because obviously we don't know what's going to happen tonight. Um, I'm trying to think of what else was. We talked this. We lost this last night, and you asked, and I really didn't want to answer, but you asked how long does Lane last at
Yeah,
LSU?
yeah.
I
I,
still I still maintain that this is a job you get fired from.
and I think that's why that's a fair question. I mean, let's look at LSU's had what 3 head coaches since 4 head coaches with Saban, Les Miles, Ogeron, Brian Kelly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 3 of those 4 won a championship.
Mm-hmm.
1 left for the NFL. The other 2 won, had a lull, got fired, and then Brian
Well,
Kelly.
Orgeron had some other things going on.
Well, let's talk on the field. We don't need to talk off the field because there's other rumors about other things and off the field things. But
With their new
um,
coach, yeah.
right, and he'll love LSU. Anyway, um, so I mean, look, Les Miles was great. They loved Les Miles. I was a big Les Miles fan growing up. Had a big autographed picture of him in my my room. So, they fired him. They carried him off the field. Didn't fire him, and then in the middle of the season the next year fired him. So then Coach O, famously, tell me what door you want me out of. Had just had one that's that LSU team with Joe Burrow. Very well, probably one of the greatest teams, if not the greatest college football team in the history of the sport. So now you got Lane after Brian Kelly. I'm not shocked if he's there like 5 years and gets fired.
No, because it's like I've told you or told you before, and it's like I've told I think this podcast before. I don't see them putting up with his antics. I don't see them allowing Lane being Lane. I don't see Lane losing to Kentucky
Mm-hmm.
and being able to just go about his day to day because he's Lane Kiffin. I don't think that flies. I think it takes a special type of person to work at LSU, and look how quickly it got to Brian Kelly. And I know they're 2 completely different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Kelly was not likable to begin with, but
Now Lane's really, really not likable.
yeah, like it got to Brian Kelly quick, and like he was always calling out the media. And I give credit to Lane in the pressers that I saw. I didn't see many, but here the past couple of weeks, Lane was very patient with the media.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to be patient with them when they start questioning what he's doing and why his defense is giving up a ton of points and a ton of yards like it was prior to Pete Golding kind of getting there? And I know they had some good defenses there. Like DJ Durkin was obviously there at one point, but like his defenses, I think, really turned the corner when Pete Golding got to Ole Miss. And if Golding's head coach at Ole Miss now, he ain't coming to Baton Rouge. And there's rumor Blake Baker's interested in another job, and so he might even be losing him. I was trying to pull something up. I was trying to pull up Lane's season by season with Ole Miss, and just kind of like see some of those losses. Like obviously this year is Georgia, and that one's a completely understandable one.
Well, I
Like
mean, you were talking about defense. Lane's whole thing has always and only been, we'll just outscore him. Like, yeah, we'll give up 40 points. We'll score 42. Old LSU people don't do that.
no,
That they're very proud on what that defense has been historically. It's a very good defensive school. And if they're, giving up 35 points and winning by a score, LSU's not the fan base that likes that. They want to win, like Bama and Georgia, and win by 3 or 4 scores.
well, and so last year he loses to Kentucky when he's number 6 in the country. He's still got, you get into November. He's still got it, and this is after they just beat Georgia. They've got a bye week, and they're at Florida. They're still in the playoff race. They're at number 9 in the country, and they lose that one inexplicably
Mm-hmm.
as well. That's not going to fly. 2023, their 2 losses were Alabama and Georgia. At Ole Miss, that's yeah. 2022 losses were they got boat raced at LSU. Lost to Bama in a tight one. They lost 4 straight in the year. They didn't win in November and then lost the bowl game. They lost.
It's a good way to
They
get fired at LSU.
Yes, they started off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0. Loses at LSU. Beats Texas A&M. Loses to Alabama. Loses to Arkansas. Loses to Mississippi State, and loses to Texas Tech in the bowl game.
Yeah, he was talking. I just watched one of his press conferences where he was saying that he had to call one of his cop friends that he knew to, because people were trying to run him off the road apparently, while he was heading to the airport. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But um, he loses 4 games in a row to end the year at LSU. They're going to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, because because that 4 game stretch is more than likely going to start with Bama in the first weekend of November, and that game means everything to them. I got in trouble wearing an Atlanta Braves hat in Baton Rouge one time, so like I can only imagine like what the heck they're going to be dealing with if he loses that game and then goes on a
He'll be
4 game
sending
stretch.
some poor intern to go gas up his car because he won't be able to in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge is a little different than Oxford, Mississippi.
I don't know compared to. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. That's uncalled for, and I better not. I was going to make an Ed Orgeron reference, and if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But it's just, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't think I've ever felt more empathy for a fan base that I had no connection to.
Yeah, I do
Or
feel bad for him.
is empathy the right word? Sympathy, I guess.
Empathy, I think, is like when you feel with them.
The empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another.
Yeah, so
Um,
I think it's that.
yeah, yeah. Empathy is feeling with someone by understanding. Sympathy is feeling for someone. So I guess sympathy. Either way, you know what I mean. I don't think I've ever felt that way towards a fan base that I had zero connection to. But it's like I said this last night. Like I am a collector of different teams' attire. The amount of teams I have in my closet that I do not pull for is kind of insane. I wanted an Ole Miss hoodie because I thought Lane made it look cool, and I really liked the SIP logo that he did mocking the SEC logo. And I
And
found
the
one.
powder
And I,
blue is great.
yeah, I found one. I was like, I'm gonna grab that. I am gonna get it in powder blue. Like it's gonna look so sick. then this weekend happens, and I'm just like, don't really want that anymore. It's specifically the SIP one. Like I'd still take an Ole Miss one, but I'm more so because it's like, all right, Pete Golding's there. I like Pete Golding. I don't know why Bama fans hated Pete Golding. Actually, I think it's because he wasn't Kirby Smart.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they hated Pete Golding. I like Pete Golding. I like what he did for Alabama. So like I'll still support him in that sense, but like I can't do any of the SIP stuff.
And then, just aside from things, since you mentioned Kirby, so thankful Georgia has Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
Not going nowhere. He'll be there
No.
forever. Well,
No.
he'll be there till he doesn't want to be there anymore. Which I mean, I don't know. He's been there 10 years. That's a long time for any coach anywhere, and they'll let him do whatever as long as he wants. So that's cool.
They'll let the players drive as fast as they want to.
Maybe Athens Clark County Police won't.
No. I'm trying to say, I know Kirby released somebody asked Kirby about Lane. I hadn't actually seen what it was, so I'm trying to skim
He
through it. Yahoo
basically
article.
said like, hate the game, not the player. Basically what he said.
From all I can see, it just says he said, I don't envy the position he was in. I think it's a really hard position to be in and to navigate. Uh, yeah, he says, I think Coach Saban addressed it best when we're in a time frame where ADs are in. We're in a time frame where ADs are in. People are making decisions in a timeline that's not congruent with the season and the playoffs. It makes for really difficult decisions. I don't disagree with him there. The college football timeline is one of the most dumbest things there is. But I will also say this, and I've heard Kublik and a bunch of other guys have mentioned this the past couple of days. If Lane wanted to go to LSU, he could have told LSU, all right, you got to wait. You got to wait. I'm not doing anything LSU related until after this season.
Yeah.
And so, like, he's trying to throw Keith Carter under the bus. It's like, no, Lane, like, you could have told LSU to wait. But to kind of quote, I think what was just said on McCready and Siski over here, he was trying to be married and have his mistress at the same time.
Right. It's not an unusual Lane thing, I don't think. But, like, I have zero problem with Ole Miss kicking him out.
No.
You got to kick him out.
I
With the
think,
portal the way it is, all he's going to do the whole time is have one foot in the door, one foot out the door, and he's going to recruit that team, go to LSU, and they're going to have like armored vehicles escort that bus into Oxford next year.
yeah, people think LSU's a hostile place to go to. Just wait till LSU goes to Oxford next year. Well, and I think a couple weeks ago, I originally said, Brandon and I were talking about this, and the topic was, and because I asked Brandon, I said, if you knew that Jim Harbaugh was leaving, would you have still wanted him around? And he said yes. He's like, it was long for the ride. He's like, and then I prefaced it with, you didn't know what was happening down the road. You just knew that Harbaugh was leaving in November. So like November comes around, Harbaugh says this is it. Would you still want him around? He said yes. He said because of what they had built and what they could have come or like done.
Right. Was the context of that question, but he's going to an in-conference rival school?
Obviously not.
Right.
And I think originally I even said I think if you're Ole Miss, like you've got a chance to hang a banner here, like do it, hang a banner with him. The way this is played out, though, Keith Carter is 100% correct. What Ole Miss did is 100% correct. It's like if you want to be here, then be here. If you don't, then kick rocks. And so I changed my view of this. Man, and that sucks too. Like I thought Lane Kiffin was entertaining. And now it's just like, man, it's hard to take you for your word for anything now. Like I think the E60 documentary did a phenomenal job of like trying to change the perception of Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. I mean, when he did this to Tennessee, I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Now, it's not a school I hate. So it's just like, oh, well, just, I would put a lot of money on Ole Miss winning that game next year. I'm not. I can't. But, like, if I could, I would put a substantial amount of money on Ole Miss beating LSU next year.
I can only imagine how hostile that place would be if LSU won.
And they're going to be throwing a lot more than golf balls at Lane.
Man, wonder how much that ticket's going to be.
I might go. That'd be fun. Just to go as a neutral, just sit there and just watch the chaos. Even just to be in Oxford that day would probably be a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness. I don't think anything would ever compare to it. So and the other thing, man, like he said he prayed about it. After watching him and after seeing what's coming out, and like, look, like I am 100% a center, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, when I quoted Hosea 1:2 yesterday, I very well know that was God using that as an illustration of Israel's relationship with God and how Israel was unfaithful. I'm not trying to take any of that out of context. I am a sinner. Like, I am no good either. But to sit there in the E60 and say that every time you went off of God's plan, it all went haywire and that God had a plan for you. And then all of a sudden you started doing all this stuff. You've been praying. And then to do this,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what God you're praying to, because I don't think this is how he would have suggested to go about it.
Yeah, it's a messy situation.
It was very politician.
Mm-hmm.
It was very what is that term that they do? I don't even know what the term is, where a politician says something because he's talking to a particular base, but then he goes to another base and starts acting the way that they act. I don't remember what it is.
I have a word, but I don't think it's the right word, so I'm not going to say any words.
Probably wise.
Yeah.
It's probably wise to bite your tongue on a lot of things with the Lane Kiffin situation right now. Well, and I sent you something yesterday, and everybody's making all this content that says that like Lane really wants the Alabama job. He might really want the Alabama job. Alabama does not want him.
Mm-mm.
If
Especially not now. You
if Al,
imagine if he goes from Ole Miss to LSU to Bama?
mm, if Alabama wanted him, he would have been who they called a couple years ago. You look at Kalen DeBoer versus Lane Kiffin.
Mm-hmm.
Lane Kiffin doesn't even take care of his own dog.
It's not even
So
his dog, apparently.
right, it's evidently not even his dog. Um, so it's not even a thing where it's like I'm not even trust Lane Kiffin with my dog. I don't even know if I'd trust Lane Kiffin with the dog of Ole Miss. But like Kalen DeBoer, like if I needed a babysitter, just listening to him is like, yeah, he can babysit my kids.
Yeah, he seems like a really reasonable, understanding individual.
Yeah, but Lane Kiffin, no, keep him far and away from anything and everything that I own, especially my football team. I don't even know. You got anything else? I don't even know what else to say.
No, I mean, one thing I wanted to say last night, we were talking about, you had mentioned you got to do your due diligence as a coach, right? You got to listen. If somebody's going to talk to you about a whole lot more money for the same job, listen. You might get more money where you're at. I think Ole Miss was going to give him what he did. We had talked a few weeks ago about Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. Apparently, don't know how true it is. Clark Lee listened to Florida for like 30 minutes and then went back to Vanderbilt, and they gave him a lot more money, which is great. I didn't think he was leaving anyway. Thrilled that he's not. It was probably the greatest weekend in Vanderbilt sports history. Men's team won a championship down in the Bahamas. Women's team won their championship where they were. I was on a plane with them on the flight home, and Vandy beat the crap out of Tennessee. So, all-time weekend, Diego Pavia for the Heisman, governor of Tennessee. Like, let's run it. That's really all I got. I don't really have anything else more on Lane. I think everyone said anything and everything that can possibly be said about that guy by now.
And there's even more being said that I'm not going to repeat. Well, I guess I'll end it here. Just some fun little facts. Ole Miss's record since Lane got there in 2020, overall record is 55-19. LSU's record since the same year, 2020, is 47-28. Do with that what you will. But I find it interesting that Ole Miss had a better record than LSU did over the same stretch.
Calm. Now it's going to be what happens to Ole Miss in the long term. The next 5 years, what does Ole Miss look like?
I know, and that's what I'm worried about because does Ole Miss go back to being who Ole Miss was before Lane? I do think Golding is far more Mississippi
Mm-hmm.
than Lane was, which is very funny because Golding grew up an hour away from Baton Rouge. But like Golding is a Miller Lite drinking type of football coach. Dude
They
loves ball, loves to drink.
both coaches in Mississippi look very Mississippi now.
Yes, they do. And so like it fits in that dynamic and that. But I don't know. I hope when we revisit this in 5 years that Golding's still the head coach at Ole Miss and Ole Miss is still doing good things.
And Lane
Lane,
will be the offensive coordinator at Georgia.
I don't. Him and Kirby might be boys. I don't think they're
I don't
like.
think they're that close of boys.
No, they were fighting each other at Bama practices. I don't think they're going to be doing that.
No, I don't think Kirby would let him around the facility.
No, I mean there were stories that I heard where like Tyler Siskey would share these, his own McCurdy and Siskey, where Lane was obviously Lane, and Saban would always be like pissed off at somebody, and it was typically Lane. But since Lane didn't listen,
Yeah,
Saban would always have to yell at somebody else
yeah.
so that the point would get across. And I can only I can only imagine a team meeting with Kirby leading the way.
I would love to just sit there and listen to Kirby, like in a team film room. I would be probably floored. It'd probably be like them speaking Greek. I wouldn't understand a single thing that's being said.
No, anytime. I think it's always so funny when Saban tries to explain something on game day, and then Herbie's like, "All right, for the folks at home," and Saban says the exact same thing,
Yep.
and it's like, "Thanks, coach.
Yeah.
No idea what you just said."
No, they're too academic for us lowly podcast people.
Yeah, us fans that the only football we ever played was on the PlayStation.
Yeah. Couch quarterbacks.
I think we're pretty good at it though. Like I can't tell you how to block an inside zone, but I know how to run one on the PlayStation.
I can accurately predict what a team's going to finish in a year.
Yeah, we did that. Well, I did that with Bama. Did that with Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I missed on Vandy.
I
I
think a
did.
lot of people did.
I did have Oklahoma in the playoff,
Mm-hmm.
but I also had Texas and Clemson and Penn State in the playoff. So.
Yeah, I don't think my playoff picks did too well this year compared to last. But hey, I did get Notre Dame.
Yeah, you did throw Notre Dame in there. I didn't because I thought they should be punished because they knew they weren't going to win their first two games. So much for that. All right, cool. Thanks for joining us for this impromptu half episode. We'll be back to our scheduled programming. I guess tomorrow when you and I react to college football playoff top 25 and I guess preview one game. There's really only one game that you and I will be talking about.
The game.
Yeah. We just made Big Ten people mad. Uh,
There's no game more important than the one in Atlanta this week.
I can't believe that they're so mad that game day's not going to Ohio State, Indiana, when it's just like, buddy, they've been going to the SEC championship for years. Like, don't give me this bull crap. Like, Big Noon's going to their game, ESPN's going to their game, but if you're mad at anybody, it's Big Noon that ruins everything and only goes to sometimes the worst game of the weekend because they're obligated to. Whereas, it's like, Oregon, Indiana are on CBS. All right, whatever. Game day still shows up. Game day was at freaking Ohio State, Michigan this past weekend. So like, don't even give me that crap that they're only going to the game that's on their network. But no, get to preview that. I
We're
don't
gonna
even.
do since there's so few games, we should do conference championship picks. That'd be fun.
I think it'll. Yeah, again, I don't even know who to pick in the ACC.
Duke.
If it was a basketball.
I'm picking Duke just for the chaos.
So see, that's just it. Like, born and raised in North Carolina, I can't pick either one of those teams.
I understand. I'll do it for you. Duke.
That's the fun. No, definitely. No, I can't even side with you. You could said Virginia, and I wouldn't have sided with you. I hope Bain shows up for that game. Um, get out of here. And then what? Ohio State, Indiana. Is it Texas Tech, BYU? Is that who the Big 12 is?
Yeah,
That would create some chaos if BYU wins.
it would. I'm picking the Raiders.
Well, I didn't know we were picking now.
Well, I'm not picking right now.
Oh
I
my
I
God.
might pick somebody down the road.
Oh, okay.
We'll see how that goes.
All right, cool. We'll talk to y'all. What, we record Thursday, or do we release Thursday? I guess no. We'll talk. You and I will talk tomorrow, and we'll have this or we'll have this one out tonight, and we'll record another one tomorrow. So 3 episodes this week, with this one being the half one. Anything else in Lane before we hang up?
I tried to think of something funny, but no, I don't got anything.
All right, roll Tide.
Go Dogs.